good evening, Mikey, and good evening, Internet friends, and let's rock and roll.
Heck yeah. So the two of us are going to be here to review AEW Wrestledream, which took place Saturday, October 18th. The way that this is going to go tonight is we're going to briefly talk about Tailgate Brawl, as well as go through go through all the main card too. With the main card saw an additional match that was not advertised until like the day. So it'd be like, well, no, but in all seriousness, we're going to talk about it. But before we get into all of that, really quickly to get through our announcements and our housekeeping, if you will. If you like what you see here, you can subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on Twitch or Kick, whatever your preferred video watching platform is. If you want to interact with us without having to commit time to watching our full-length videos, because you don't have a lot of it, that is okay too. And you can check us out on pretty much every social media site at BC WrestlePod, where we do report cards, we post previews of the episodes and what's on the card, and all sorts of fun stuff. We also have some merchandise at our shop at bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. We have review team merch, we have brand merch, we have, limited edition specialty merch for the season. We have which includes things like our fall collection, our Halloween spectacular stuff, and then, of course, dropping next week just for the spoopy season. Of course, we have our Dia de los Muertos collection, which is coming out very soon, which I'm very excited about. And what we would be without any sort of charity. So all our specialty collections are tied to charities of our choices, and part of the proceeds of each thing, bought in special collections will be donated to charities. You can find out all that more on our merch store at bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Link in the description of this video below, as well as in the chat. If you want to peruse, bookmark it for later, we'd love you for it. But with that out of the way, let's just get straight into it, because we've got a lot to talk about. We have, if we're including Tailgate Brawl, we're counting, I think it's 14 matches we're going to be talking about. Oh, AEW. I love yous and your 15 plus match card half the time.
I always deliver.
So yeah, and you know what? We're just gonna talk about that right now. So I have seen both sides of this, right? And of course, I am a person who wants to formulate their own opinion, but I also have friends in the wrestling space that I talk to on occasion outside of this group. So I have seen some folks complain about Wrestledream, and I want to, set the record straight. I will let my thoughts be known. Well, I do think that the previous pay-per-view of All Out Toronto is probably my favorite so far of AEW this year. I think the show is really solid, and if I'm being completely honest, I think it definitely helped building some of the stories, or a good chunk of the stories, leading into Full Gear, which is the next big 4 pay-per-view happening in a couple of weeks in before Thanksgiving week. So I had a good time with this, and I'm going to save my thoughts more about this when we get into our main event, because a lot of people were complaining. I'm like, guys, what'd you expect? They have to follow the commission of Missouri. I was just like, some of these cities be crazy. Like, listen, New York is also another one, but we'll get into that. But I still thought Wrestledream was very solid, and I had a good time with it.
Yeah, I thought the show overall was really, really fun, and they did some innovative stuff, and match placement on the card. I had no complaints, and I usually do. So there's that,
Exactly. So we're gonna give our thoughts, and we're gonna briefly go through. I gotta remember, Tailgate Brawl is no longer we're not calling it 0 hour no more. So Tailgate Brawl is what we're going to start with. So let's talk about the 4 matches that we got on Tailgate Brawl. First up, of course, we have the Conglomeration, which is now showcasing a 90s sitcom inspired intro with their music and graphics, which I dig. May or may not be the theme of BC WrestlePod going into 2026, but stay tuned for more information on that towards the tail end of the year. So of course, the Conglomeration is Tomohiro Ishii, Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and officially a part of the Conglomeration now in Roddy Strong. I love Roderick Strong playing the quote unquote straight man in this whole entire wacky universe that is the Conglomeration.
Fantastic.
And then of course, it wouldn't be a Conglomeration match if they weren't going up against the Death Right, which is of course Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, a really jacked up Pac and the newest member, Daniel Garcia. Oh, boys, I love you guys so much. Yeah, I cannot stop staring at Pac of how yoked he is now. It's like, I know we said this last week, but damn, Pac, like, what happened? Like, what we did?
Yeah, he spent his time in the gym apparently.
You know what? I ain't gonna hey, I'm not gonna be mad at that. 'Cause it's like, hey, Pac. Anywho, as far as the match goes, I knew what I knew what to expect from this. I'm like, it's a conglomeration versus Death Riders match. It's not the first time we've seen an iteration of this, but I still had a good time with this. I thought this was fun. Was this my favorite encounter between these two groups? Not necessarily, but I think because it being on Tailgate Brawl and being the first match for people before the main card, I think it did its job proper and it opened up, be like, stay tuned, y'all, because this is about to be a long and crazy night.
But there was a moment where Claudio was about to suplex Orange Cassidy, and Cassidy usually gets out of it with the stun dog millionaire. Claudio goes nope and throws him onto his shoulders and just tossing him around. Oh, Claudio never changed, my friend.
For reals. So, I mean, this was a fun opener. Death Riders do win, and this would not be the only time we would see the Death Riders come into play a little bit later. So, we're going to talk more about them when we get to our main event. But next up on the Tailgate Brawl, Eddie Kingston and Hook are in action. And it wouldn't be Tailgate Brawl or the quote unquote pre show if it was, it's not a pre show or AEW pay-per-views if we don't get the frat house getting their asses whooped. Because that is exactly who answers the call to face Eddie Kingston and Hook. We get the frat house of Ring of Honor, and I'm just like, no, but okay. I mean, there's nothing more to add to this. I mean, it was a match to get Kingston and Hook on the card and for them to get a win to keep solidifying them as a tag team. And the frat house were its latest victim. So
Yeah, I'm always happy to see Cole Carter, who's a guy I think that really has come a long way since he left NXT and came over
mhm.
to. And I don't really have much to say, but their new finisher with the Hurricane into the Taja is pretty rad.
Oh, big time. I love it that they're changing it up. But again, Eddie Kingston and Hook win here. Nothing more to add as that we are continuing to build them in the tag team division. Next up in the tailgate brawl, though, we get Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn taking on Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron. Look, Megan and Penelope, y'all know I love me a good cosplay. I love me some good cosplay inspired outfits, and y'all going out as Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn was chef's kiss. But of course, I love the energy Willow and Harley. I was just like, they are the chaotic good I need in my lives. Have we seen this type of matchup before? Absolutely. Am I going to complain about it? Yes. Do I love when Willow throws people across the ring? Yes. I had a fun time with this one. And of course, since this was with the first match of the night that actually counted to our predictions, lo and behold, I was just like, damn it, Penelope and Megan, you were supposed to give me a point. But I understand. I get it because we don't know what the final teams are going to look like for Blood and Gut. So we got to get everybody moving parts around to figure out who's going to end up being on the final team for all of this. Willow and Harley do pick up the victory here, but I had a fun time. Harley makes me crack up every single time she's in the ring. It's so much fun to watch.
Which Harley?
True. I'll be like, which Harley?
I love the cosplay by Megan Bain, Megabad, right? Megabad, and
Megan Bain. Yeah.
yeah, obviously Willow's great, and Harley Cameron is she's fantastic. But a lot of people forget about how great Penelope Ford did. And for somebody who was out for over 2 years and then just not miss a beat, that's a special kind of talent.
100%. And I 100%, I agree with you that Penelope Ford feels very underrated. And pairing her with Megan has been well, one, it's so much fun for me to watch. But number two, I think they complement each other very well. And I love them as a tag team. So, of course, we've been, on Wednesday, we are getting the reveal of the bracket for the women's tag team tournament, which makes me excited. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm ready because I was just like, yes, more women's action on AEW. But the real question is, are all the tag teams that are actually tag teams going to be considered? And then we're going to get into it later because technically we got another team that may or may not be in this tournament after what happens after their matches. We're going to talk about that in a little bit later. But I'm like, Megan and Penelope need to be in this tournament as well as a couple other teams that we've been seeing.
Yeah, Willow and Harley Cameron now have matching gear. So,
Tag team.
but, like, I don't mean to nitpick, but, like, this could have been after Full Gear. Like, the whole tag thing.
I was gonna say, I was just like, I know you're stretching it, but it would have been really cool to go after Full Gear, leading into World's End. The finals can be at World's End. What a way to end the year, and then have the champions start out 2026 as your inaugural women's tag team champs.
And it's like, they don't even have a big enough roster to go into Blood and do a tournament at the same time. Like, that's a whole 'nother problem, but I digress.
Yeah, no. So we're gonna see how well, who knows? Because there have been times where we've gotten tournaments and then they spread them out for like months apart. I'm looking at you, Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship Tournament. Like, what the hell? I was like, are we waiting until Final Battle? What are we doing with our lives?
I think, like, somebody, like, reminded Tony that he had a tournament going on at a media call before one of the pay-per-views. He was like, "Oh my god!"
For real. Look, as much as I would have loved to seen the tournament finals be held at World's End, Antonio Khan, I will forgive you if that means that we are getting a Women's Continental Classic this year, but I highly doubt that. But it better be on the card for next year, if not this year. I want to see a Women's Continental Classic. Shoot, spread it out. Have, like, the men can go to World's End, but the Continental Classic for the women, I don't know, go into Dynasty or even Double or Nothing. Like, let's do it. Like, what are you waiting for? Anyways, so again, Harley Cameron, Willow Nightingale do pick up a victory. And we get into technically our final tailgate brawl match, which also technically opens the show. The pacing of this whole entire night was so weird. And I think they had a hard, you need to be done by 12:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, get out of the building. So we finished Tailgate Brawl, and this match carried over into the beginning of the main card of Wrestledream. So we have FTR versus Jet Speed, and I laughed my ass off as FTR and Jet Speed were literally doing both teams are in the ring. They're punching each other as the pyro's going off at the start of the show.
I love 97 Nitro.
For real. So it's like they're already fighting. The pyro's going off. The show is starting. It's crazy. I love these two teams so damn much.
Yeah, these guys are a match made in heaven, aren't they? Like,
For real.
because, like, halfway through this match or into the pay-per-view, I was like, "Oh, wow, this is like shades of from 2023 with Speedball and Death."
For real. So again, this is a lot of fun. Jet Speed and FTR have been fighting, and well, I say surprise, but not really. If that means we're going to continue this feud, FTR take the win over Jet Speed.
You know?
I was like, you guys, this is not going good for me. Anyways, but this was fun. Again, for it to end Tailgate Brawl and to begin the show was a lot of fun. FTR are your winners. This isn't over between these two, and I'm looking forward to what is the next step into this rivalry. I was just like, add stipulation next. Anyways, but yeah, so let's get in the main card, and we start off with a Joshi Wrestler's Wet Dream. So we get kicking off the show proper is our first official main card match, which is Tekla, the Toxic Spider, versus, Miss Haterade herself, Jamie Hater. And again, this is a Joshi Wrestler's Dream for me. Of course, it was going to be sloppy. It was hard hitting. It was rough around the edges, but what'd you expect? These two are, listen, if you could, in 2025, if you would have told me in AEW that I would see a former member of Oedo Tai versus a former member of Dono Dome, I'm just like, I would have said you were lying. And then here we are. I'm like, the Joshi startup person in me was crying of happiness. God, they hit so hard. I was like, ooh, those are stiff shots. And I was here for it.
Like, what a fun match. Well, carry on the opening of the show. But Hater's sort of like the workhorse of the women's division at this point. Like, she just sort of brings out the best in everybody, and this is a perfect example of that.
I 100% agree. This was Tekla has had some really fun moments, but I think truly this is Tekla's coming out as a single star, and I'm like, you know what? Give her like a year or two, and hopefully we'll put some championship goals on her. I'm really excited. And what I appreciated is leading into Wrestledream, because we still had a 3-hour Dynamite that we watched last week. I love that now they're allowing Tekla to cut promos, and I was like, yes! I love that Austrian accent. Very lovely. I love it so much. But Miss Jamie Hater does win, but this was a really strong showing for Tekla. And again, Queen comes out to celebrate, and I'm like, I was like, here we go. We are just T minus like 3 weeks away. Blood and guts for these girls. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a wild 3 weeks. And you know what? We don't even know who the final makeup for each side is going to be. So I'm excited to see how that ends up turning up. But both of these women did really good. We opened the show with them. Really solid match. And I had a good time with this one. But moving on to our second match of the main card was the 50K dollar match. So of course, Tony Khan offered $500,000 to the winner of this match. I will continue to say this until the cows come home. The Young Bucks, at least this year, have gone off the deep end and put on bangers with everyone they have a match with. I was just like, how do they keep doing this? This match was awesome, and dare I say, I feel like the tag team matches kind of stole the show for me this pay-per-view. This one, and then when we get to our tag team championship match, but hot damn, Young Bucks, Jurassic Express, y'all, I couldn't breathe during this match. I was like, keep going. I was just like, when is it gonna end? They gave this some time too. Oh man, oof. As you could tell, I'm having hard time finding the correct words in English to express how much I enjoyed this match without relegating it to saying that this was awesome. But truly, this match was awesome. Benny, what did you?
You're absolutely right. I think the thing is with the Young Bucks, right? Like, just like any great act in wrestling. Let's say Ric Flair, for instance. It's the only time I'll reference his name. But, like, Ric Flair wrestled the same match for 30 years. It was just the variety of opponents that he faced that also brought up that met his level, right? So the Young Bucks have a match type. It's very much a buck. This was very much a Bucks match, and rose up and met him. So kudos to them.
Again, this match was awesome. Bucks know how to do things really well. I'm not gonna lie. I love me a reunited boy and his dinosaur. But
It was still, I could have skipped a few beats though.
I mean, that's very, very true. Their finisher, though, I love their new finisher for Jurassic Express new finisher. I actually really like it. I was like, oh, that looks
Oh
devastating.
yeah, try doing that on Brody King.
Hey, it's not gonna work on everyone, but hey, I love me a good tag team or even a good wrestler that has like 3 or 4 different finishers that they can use to win a match. Like, and this is my soapbox moment. Make sure that you have multiple finishers in your arsenal. That is all I have to say on that matter.
Yeah, because that way everybody can kick out of them.
Become the blue thunder bomb where you don't win matches anymore. Anyways, exactly. We gonna get to that in a moment. But the Jurassic Express walk away with the money. The Young Bucks are still broke. The way that it kept saying insufficient funds was wild. I was laughing so hard, and I'm just like, oh, the Young Bucks keep finding ways to troll themselves, and I love them. But
Say real quick that like this match was a great example of the disconnect between the online community and the fans in the building. Like,
talk your stuff, Benny. Go for it.
the online fan base loves to talk about Jack Perry, right? I'm not gonna shit on Jack Perry that much, but like all that I mean is that like Luke and the Young Bucks were the two most over acts in this whole entire thing, right? But if you go online, everybody's like, "Oh, Jack Perry's great." And it's like, yeah, did you hear the fans? There was crickets while he was in the ring.
It's like y'all need to chill with the hate because this is crazy to me, honestly.
I'm sorry, it's just, oh man.
Just everybody relax. But we're gonna move on from this tag team match to get into what became a tornado tag team match. And I was just like, to quote to one of my favorite TikTokers in her quote unquote fuck ass predictions is literally just the battle of the balls. Listen, shout out to her. I love her so damn much. And she does it for AEW and WWE pay-per-views. It's like, she's not here to do predictions. She's just here to make fuck ass predictions. But this literally was, minus Goa. This was literally Battle of the Bald. I was like, what are we doing?
What is this bald hate? What is all this bald hate lately?
This was a hate crime. This is bald on bald violence. But
Jason made bald sexy again. Okay,
that is very, very true.
Like MVP hitting ballin' never gets old. Ricochet is like the most cartoonish comedic seller I've ever seen in my life. Fantastic at it, and I think I figured out something that like everybody's like, where was this Ricochet? It's like, well, now he's around his friend. Like
Yeah, I'm just like tornado tag. This is a lot of fun. Hurts to get win. I'm a little surprised because I thought this was where and at least we talked about it last week during predictions. I was wondering, I thought this was probably the downfall of the Hurt Syndicate, but apparently not. Oh, one thing I forgot to add too, because I didn't know about this until the end of the match. I was just like, "What you mean this was the number one contenders match for the trios champions? What the flip?" I was like, "The Hurt Syndicate are kind of over." So, but we'll talk about that when we get there, because I was just like, "What in Swerve No Strickland is this?" But I had a great time, and shout out to Goa. I love seeing Goa in these pay-per-view matches. Like
Mm,
honestly, I love that they're getting the time and energy for everything. They are so much fun to watch, and they've been in this company for a good chunk of time now, and to see them not only get to work with Ricochet, and not only to get to go up against the likes of MVP, Shelton, and Bob, but I love that they are getting the shine, and I was just like, "Yes, AEW, give the big boys the shine. I love them so much."
yeah, can we also get Shelton Benjamin versus Bishop Khan at least once?
Yes, give me
Like,
that match. That is the only matchup we have yet to have, and I'm like, this was a fun tornado tag match. But we move on with in the rest of our card where God, can they not they never have a bad match with each other. This is the fifth
mm-mm.
time. And every single time they find new ways where I'm like, Jesus, I think he died. Now listen, there are a few instances I like to use this term because everybody and their mother likes to use this. I reserve this term for people who can truly fight forever, the likes of Kevin Steen and Sami Zayn. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I will also put, even though their careers are just starting, I put Javon Evans and Leon Slater into that fight forever category. And we also have women's wrestlers who can do that. Like honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. Like if Chris ever wants to go back to being heel, Willow and her can fight forever. Tony versus anybody can fight forever, in my opinion, too, because Tony is great. But I will also be awarding these two with the Fight Forever feud, because this is the fifth time that these two have encountered each other in their careers in AEW, and they continue to rise above the previous amazingness of their last matches and also throw in some stuff new. This is for the TNT Championship. Kyle Fletcher defending his TNT championship against Mark Briscoe. I know the predictions of my favorite TikToker didn't come true, but I would have laughed my ass off. But the entrances inside were a lot of fun. This match, man, I was just like, "Oh my god, this was so juicy. It's so good." I was just like,
No.
"What a war, man! What a war!"
Yeah. Like, I said on Blue Sky the other day after this that, like, they started off this rivalry started off in a pre-taped match for ROH when Mark Briscoe was the ROH World Champion and Kyle Fletcher was the Ring of Honor TV champion. And to go from a random pre-taped match to pay-per-view just speaks volumes to how great of chemistry these two have. And the last thing I'll say about this one is Kyle Fletcher, you better be sending a check to feed those orphans in Mexico, because that entire finish was El Generico.
It's just like, this is crazy. But no, this Mark Briscoe, like, I know Mark. So this, I hope this is a fair comparison. Mark Briscoe to me is the AEW version of what El Generico was for the Ring of Honor fan base. I was like, he's just a little bit goofy. Like his whole character shtick, is either you're gonna love it or hate it. But underneath that comedic demeanor is a man who can kick all the ass. And Mark Briscoe to me kind of fits that mold. He's funny. He says outlandish crap half the time. He is goofy. I mean, literally, we see him have like different portraits every time we get him on a regular Dynamite or Collision card or a pay-per-view card. Like the expression is never the same. But underneath
Mm.
all that comedy is a man who can kick a major ass, and he kicks major ass. Kyle Fletcher kicks ass. This was just two people kicking ass, and this match ruled.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe is one like a great utility player, right? Like he could be silly, he could be serious, like tag matches, trios matches, like just great stuff all around.
Yeah, this is a fantastic match. Kyle Fletcher does retain the TNT Championship. I know we just had number 5, but I'm like, Tony, let them fight forever. Give me another match down the line. Maybe like, let's get through the last 2 pay-per-views and then maybe like the January, like winter is coming special, like they could fight again. Like, I'm just saying. But after the TNT Championship match, we do get into our AEW Women's World Championship match. You know, Miss Strat Daddy herself, Chris Statlander, taking on Timeless Tony Storm. Best match with the best promos and pre-tapes before their entrances. My God. First of all, Tony Storm cutting a pre-taped video package like she is in a noir detective film. And it's just like, it's giving me Quentin Tarantino vibes. Like, this is amazing. And then Chris brought back the alien. I was like, these two are the best. I don't care. Matt, like, just cancel the rest of the pay-per-view now. They win. I love these characters so much. I love that they didn't take themselves seriously. And I
Mm.
had a good time with this match. I do feel that maybe it's just because, again, under the commission of Missouri, we can't go too crazy. I feel like we reserved a couple of things to me, but I had a fun time with this one. I do want them. Well, what we get later, I was like, I wouldn't mind them fighting again. I was like, no, it looks like Tony's going to be busy in a different part of the women's division for a little bit. That's my only complaint. I felt like there were certain parts I was like, maybe they're kind of holding back just a tiny bit, but I still thought it was a pretty strong outing from both of them. Benny, what did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was like honestly one of my matches of the night. Like simply from a character's point of view, like I love these two women, and Stat busting out the pendulum moonsault that she hasn't done in years. Right? Like I love that she's adding in little sprinkles of her personality into these vignettes and stuff. Like because like a couple weeks ago she said like, when I die, put me in something and inhale me. And like we got our second Wu-Tang Clan reference of the
Was just like, we are in Missouri. I was like, what is happening? Why are we quoting Wu-Tang Clan, like getting references? I was like, what is happening right now? I'm not gonna be upset, but at the same time, I'm just like, what in the Wu-Tang? But I had a fun time with this. Chris does retain her championship. Tony kind of shows her respect afterwards. Chris doesn't even get to celebrate in the ring because she's immediately interrupted by Mercedes, like 14,000 belts at this point. So Mercedes comes out because she's going to have a TBS championship, an open challenge. She basically tells Chris to get out of her ring. And so we get into immediately our next match, which is for, 10 belts. Mercedes Moné has the TBS championship open challenge match. And so she is putting her TBS championship on the line. And then we learned from Tony Khan the night before that the open challenge, the stipulation also is whoever the challenger is has to be a champion. And they will also be putting their championship on the line. And I'm just like, I wonder how this is going to go. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, Athena's going to be here. I'm like, y'all, do you really think that Athena was going to lose this? Do you think, as crazy and, unprecedented and as disjointed as Ring of Honor is right now, do we really think that they would allow Athena to lose her title in this manner? Absolutely not. But then we figure out who was going to answer the call. And of course, I was dancing along. Like I said in our group chat, I was just like, oh, Mina's about to kiss this title goodbye. However, even though he's not here tonight, I do want to bring up a good fact that JVL brought up, and I hope it is true. This technically does put Mercedes on a collision course with Red Velvet, and I'm like, I'm here for it. I was like, dang, that is a sentence that I said in 2025. Good on you, Mercedes. Benny, what did you think of the Mina versus Mercedes bout?
yes. Now we have to call her Ultimo Moné.
For real, she got that trademark and everything. I was like, good on you, girl. Get that money.
I love it. It's like the internet's like, what are you're better than Ultimo Dragon? It's like, you can't even name 5 Ultimo Dragon matches, okay? A match with Red Velvet straight out of her mama's kitchen is incoming. Yeah, Mercedes and Amina had insane chemistry in this match, right? And like, Mercedes is starting to tap into, like, she has figured out who the CEO is. And because like at first when she came in, I don't even think she knew who the CEO was. But now she's got it. Like there was like a point where like Amina gets put on the ropes, and like Mercedes is doing like the freak out, like bug eyed, like, and like she's got like a quiver. I was like, man, that's hard to do. And the last thing I want to say is that Mercedes is, with all due respect, Mercedes' wig must have its own karaoke.
Oh man, I I love that so much. But again, Mercedes at Wrestledream beat Ultimo Dragon's record, and then again, like I said before, the following night she beat Jody Threat and took her title too. So Mercedes is out here draped in gold. I don't know when it's going to happen, but again, I love me a good downward spiral into nothingness and then a rise back up like the Phoenix story trope. That is one of my favorites. But I cannot wait for Mercedes here, Icarus, the wrestling version of Icarus, to fly too close to the sun, and then she begins to lose titles left and right. But right now, Mercedes Moné is the Thanos of wrestling, and she is collecting wrestling belts like they are the Infinity Stones, like twice over at this point. But
You
I
see
had a
that
fun time.
sorry to interrupt you. See the picture of her on, like, after she beat Jody, like, with all the belts? Like
Lord have mercy. I was just like, this is ridiculous, and I'm here for it. Again, wrestling needs to be fun, everybody. Y'all need to chill. So we got to move on, though. So we move into our next match.
oh,
This was my match of the night. Like that, I was just like, I get to see Brodito. Now, there was a part of me that was worried because we finally got Brody King to start the Macarena in the middle of this match. And I was like, oh my God, they're going to lose. But it was interrupted. This was just phenomenal, man. Like, holy hell, these four put on a really good match. I was just like, this is amazing. Brody King and Bandito, again, this was a thrown together tag team that I didn't know I wanted until we got it, and now I don't want them to ever leave me. Despite Takeshi and Okada having beef and having issues with each other, hot damn, that's I want to say not to say that they've been bad before, but I was just like, they're like, oh, we got beef with each other, but we still got championships, we still got one, so let's beat the shit out of Brodito. And Brodito answered back by firing on all cylinders too. Everyone gave it their best, and I was like, hot damn, this was a really good match.
oh, man, like, they really brought well, first off, like, when I saw this match on paper, I was like, "There's no way this doesn't deliver," right? Because like, it's Okada, like, they're heating up the feud, and Brodito, like, are just on another level when it comes to wrestling, and it did not disappoint. And, like, there was one point where, like or maybe Okada with a lariat, and, like, he ducks, and Brody uses that momentum to hit a cannonball in the corner on Takeshi. Like, oh my god, this is on another level. And, like, I love it how, like, they were teasing, like, like, the old trope of, like, can they coexist, you know?
Hmm.
Like, they were, like, cutting off the ring at the beginning and then, like, working over Bandito until he gets the hot tag to Brody. Oh, man. This was something special, man. And to be honest with you, this is this might be on my match of the year list. It
Heck
was
yeah. And of course, it has two of my top two favorite wrestlers so far this year in Bandito and Takeshita. So I was like, ooh, Takeshita's about to get this ass whooping. I'm just kidding.
I love Okada's smile, like, after he hits the Rainmaker.
Oh my gosh, she's such a little shit, and I love it. It's like, "Oh, no, I'm sorry," and I was just like, "You are not, but I'm here for the shit-eating grin."
Oh, man, he's having the time of his life right now. He really
Oh,
is.
man, I love Okada in AEW. He's just having a good time. He's having fun. He's like, "I probably got, like, a couple more years, so I'm just gonna do whatever," and I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah, he's
I
like,
feel
"I'll turn it on when I want to, I'll keep the T-shirt on when I want to."
it's just like and I know it's not fair to compare, but I kind of feel the same way to his counterpart in New Japan right now because I feel like that's what Sonata's been doing this whole year too. He's just doing whatever he wants. He's coming out looking ridiculous with his speaker jacket. He's out here like just dyeing his hair blonde with dots on his head, like Dusty Rhodes. And I was just like, you know what? And Sonata are out here having a good time. They're just like, fuck it. We're just gonna have fun with it. And I'm like, that is what wrestling needs to be sometimes. But this is an absolute barn burner of a match. Hot damn, this was such a good match. And even afterwards, in the post-match celebration, we finally got Brody King to do the Macarena. I was like, you are so out of rhythm, but I appreciate it, Brody King. Again, Bandito and Brody King being teamed up, I feel like has also allowed Brody to be a little bit more fun with it. I'm like, he's still a badass, but he's giving off Papa Bear energy, and I'm here for it. He's giving like fun dad vibes, and I'm here for it. And of course, little Bandito celebrating with Daddy Bandito in the ring. I was like, oh my god, Bandito is the best person ever. You cannot make you. There's nothing that can make me hate this man. All right, here we go. We got to get into it. Semi-main event. Hangman Adam Page versus Samoa No Mames Mimosa Joe. God, this not as crazy as their previous encounters, but this was a solid bout, and I cried. I was like, Joe's probably only got like a year left. I'm gonna cry. Listen, how do you feel about the Fed? my little heart has come to the understanding and realization that Cena is retiring this year. Whether it was WWE, TNA, or New Japan, like the leader of the Bullet Club, Styles is retiring next year. Joe said he's going to be retiring too within the next year or two. My little heart can't take it, Betty. All I can do, I don't know what to do with myself. But until
Yeah.
then, I am going to appreciate Joe and his note spots every single time. Joe
The
was
thing,
just
like, Joe
better shape than most folks.
joke for the longest time was there's the bloodline and then there's Samoa Joe. This was before the Roman bloodline thing, but, like, it's NOYE family.
No, yeah, I'm just like, I love Joe. Now, as far as this match goes, again, this wasn't as crazy as their previous encounters, but this was a very solid match between the two of them. And we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but because of what happened afterwards, it seems that we're actually going to get this feud to continue into Full Gear and possibly World's End, depending on how we want to go with all of it. But Benny, what did you think about the match itself? And then we'll talk about what happened afterwards.
I thought it was fine, to be honest with you. It really wasn't anything to write home about. Like, it was just it was solid. I did like the no walk away on the moonsault, which I called, and Joe getting hit with 3 buckshots to make him look like a friggin' monster. I like that a lot too.
For reals. So I agree with you. This was still a solid match, but it wasn't, as I said before, crazy as the previous encounters. Hangman has to hit, 3 buckshots to keep Joe down. I'm like, listen, normally I don't like it when people spam finishers like a fighting game, but this is Samoa Joe. So I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with it because Samoa Joe is not going to stay down with just 1 buckshot. So you got to literally keep spamming finishers, keep spamming fireball spell for you D&D nerds out there all the time. Like, you keep spamming the one special move in a fighting game to keep him down. Your winner and still AEW World Champion is Hangman Adam Page. Him and Joe have a moment. The ops are down in the ring to pick up Joe, and you know what? It looks like a sign of the respect, but nah, because the ops begin beating up on Hangman Adam Page. I was like, holy hell. I was like, we're actually getting this feud to continue. The ops have turned heel? Question mark? Yes. Or at least they're like, you know what? Fuck everybody. We're going to beat everybody up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with that. They definitely needed a change. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it needed a shake up, and I just miss Hobbs' snarl. Like,
He's got a good mean mug. It's so much fun. But man, well, I mean, the ops begin beating up on Hangman. I was like, oh, so we're going to continue to this feud into Full Gear. I'm here for it. I'm excited. I was like, which I'm happy about because look, I love that Hangman has been champion, but I was just like, okay, are we going to continue to just do one and done feuds for Hangman for the rest of the year? Because I'm like, I'm here for it because I love hangers. I kind of want him to have something substantial. With that being said,
I think something will come out of that pay-per-view that'll be substantial, but we can talk about that afterwards.
Very, very true. Which I was like, so this is going to be fun. I'm excited. So I love them. I was just like, I kind of want. I don't want to be an elitist because that's not fun. But at the same time, I'm like, I kind of want this tournament to be the women who actually are a tag team. But like we discussed further, we don't have that deep of a women's division to be doing the single stories as well as the tag team division. And truly the only real tag team we have in the women's division that been there since day one. So, I mean, Penelope and Megan have been a really fun addition. But Ty and Anna Jay, I'm just like, are the tag team of AEW. And I'm like, if you're not going to put the titles on them, please at least let them make it to the finals because I feel like they deserve that much. But anyways, there's that part. And then, well, I mean, we talked about it throughout the show, but on Dynamite tomorrow, we get told 3 things. Number 1, we're getting the Trios Championship match, the Ops and the Hurt Syndicate. I smell a Hangman Adam Page making an appearance in some capacity because he wants to get back at Joe in some way. We're getting the bracket reveal for the women's titles. And then I'm just like, no, Tony wouldn't do this, would he? Because we're getting a unified championship match, Okada versus Bandito. I was just like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I would be here for it. But they wouldn't have Bandito hold 3 championships, would they? And then I'm going to hold my judgment until Wednesday. Because at this point, I'm like, if it's not going to be Takeshita who takes this title off of Okada, I'm like, Bandito would be okay with me. I'm not going to lie. But we got to see what happens with all of that. So that is Dynamite tomorrow evening, but never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine I would see someone drown get drowned on my television screen. Now, there has been a lot of kerfuffle because we can't talk about this match without talking about the kerfuffle that the internet has been on a blaze lately of this match. People were like, this match was garbage, and here is where I lie with it. I think they did the best they could because I even pointed it out at our group chat. I was like, I'm surprised with the lack of blood. And then I'm like, oh, wait, no, they're in Missouri. And the Missouri Athletics Commission is very, very strict on certain things. Just like New York was with, where there are certain things that you cannot do because you have to follow the Athletics Commission. So I think Darby and Moxley did the best they could, given the fact that, the Missouri Athletic Commission weren't going to allow them to do certain things. However, with that being said, Antonio, I know I'm happy this main evented because I called that. However, I thought the match was good. I thought it was solid. Did I want a little bit more violence? Yes. Could we have waited until after this to do it in a city that allowed us to see blood? Absolutely. Why? Because I'm a sick freak. But I honestly think this match did what it needed to do, not just like wrestling wise, but I think storytelling wise. Yes, the ending was a little bit anticlimactic with Moxley like kicking out, just being on glass. I'm like, sir, I have watched you bleed more just while sneezing. But it makes sense because the whole entire story, and Benny, you can either agree or disagree with me, but I feel like the whole entire match, which, a lot of people were complaining that this was mostly Moxley in control. I'm like, but I feel like that benefits with what we were getting because Moxley was doing everything, Death Rider interference, tables, drowning, throwing Darby across the ring, Claudio almost killing him, throwing him halfway from the ring onto the announcer table with Darby bouncing like a ball offset table. That was a nasty spot. And I was like, but it was a good meme. I think Moxley quitting in the way he did after everything he could possibly do underneath the Athletic Commission of Missouri to make Darby quit, and Darby still wouldn't quit. I think it just made Moxley turn off the brain, and he's like, "There's nothing I can do to make this kid quit." So he quit not out of I'm in pain. He quit because like I have nothing else. I am defeated. I am going to quit. And I honestly think that's what this match benefited from the most is that no matter what Mox threw at Darby, Darby was not going to quit, and he did not quit.
Yeah, this was a classic, like, David versus Goliath match, and, like, David gets trampled for for the majority of the time, and then he comes back and wins, And, like, it's not a surprise that this was the story of the match. Why people can't see that, that's reading comprehension, I guess.
No, and look, we here at BC WrestlePod, we try to stay positive, and I believe we are positive for most of the time. But at the same time, I'm like, what do you guys want? I'm like, I don't understand. But then again, it's the wrestling community. I was like, when is anybody ever truly like happy? I was just like, whatever. But I think story-wise, this made a lot of sense. It was really nice to see the stinger, and I have missed Tony Schiavone yelling, "It's Sting!" I'm like, my little AEW wrestling heart. I'm like, I loved it so much. I was like, it's crazy to me that AEW has, well, I know it's not crazy to say, but AEW has treated Sting's retirement and post-retirement so much better than I was like, he wasn't even in AEW that long. He was more a part of the Fed, and then like I was like, he's more of a legend here than it is over there, but I digress.
Well, that's sort of Sting's story, actually.
Very, very true.
Always an anti-WWE guy.
It was like, we love an anti-hero. Darby has done it. I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, is this the end of the feud? I think, well, I mean, in an I Quit match like we saw, given the Athletics Commission. I don't know. I mean, this would be a nice bow to end the story, and then you can go have Darby do something else. However, I still think I think there might be, it depending on how AEW wants to do it and the direction they want to go. I think we go I Quit match. And then how do you top a casket coffin match? There is only one stipulation that I can think of. Well, actually two. But given the fact of how we've increased in the stipulation, I think the last thing that they should do is either at Full Gear or at World's End, I need a last man standing match. Just let them go balls to the wall. Everything gets thrown out. Like, to me, it makes the most logical sense. You had a coffin match where you have to, throw your opponent in, close the casket, bam, you win. I Quit, you make your opponent quit in whatever means necessary. I think a testament to make this a crazy trilogy is just like no coffins, no making say I quit. It is literally to win this, you have to be the last man standing. So I would love to see a last man standing match between these two. Or Texas Death, whatever's going to give me my blood, I'm here for it.
Yeah, right. Because like technically in Texas Depth, like you have to like pin the opponent, and then you have like 10 minutes, 10 beat a 10 count, or like
That is very true, which is a good mix of blood and, last man standing. So I'm here for it. But again, if this is where we want to end Darby's chapter with the Death Riders for now, I'm also okay with this. Darby Allin, it wins this one. And I was like, we are 1-1. I'm like, this can't be how it ends for right now, right? But you know what? We'll see what AEW wants to do with all of this. But that's
oh
going to
yeah,
be it.
real quick, I just want to say that the old man, it doesn't work. The man called Sting.
I was like, I love the retired beard Sting. It is glorious.
I know, and like that guy is like so like got like 2.5 feet like up, he's out the door, So like he literally passed the torch,
Literally.
and took Marina with him.
Oh, man. I love it. But we've reached the end. Betty, this was fantastic. Wrestledream was very solid. I'm excited for what we're building towards, for Full Gear in a couple of weeks. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, so before we go, though, we do have a lot of fun things coming at you a little bit. So why don't we take some time to take a look at all of that, shall we? Again, we are doing a lot. We cover a lot of wrestling. And no, it is no exception that this week is a very kind of packed week, but not really. But let's take a look and see what the rest of this week has in store for us, right? So I know I have forgot to change certain pictures, but they will be changed for tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, we are doing a double review at 5:30 p.m. Pacific. The NXT crew will be here to review the Go Home episode of NXT, as we will also be doing our picks for NXT's Halloween Havoc. Then at 8 p.m. later that night, we are doing our CMLL review, which is the special Amazona edition. So the whole entire card is nothing but women's wrestling. So we get to review that, where we had 2 title bouts, one for the CMLL Amazona Universal Championship. And then we also had a CMLL Women's Championship match between Mercedes Moné defending her title against CMLL's Persephone. So we're going to break all that down. Then Thursday, come with the tee-hees and the ha-has and the straight-up shenanigans, because at 6 p.m. Pacific on Thursday, we will be reviewing Mystery Wrestling 19. And it had everything. It had big boys. It had big girls. It had Power Rangers versus the Teletubbies. And we saw Evil Uno and Stu Grayson finally collide in what we have building towards for the last 2-3 mystery wrestling shows. And we had the surprise return that no one saw coming. And in our darkest time, the hero that we needed answered the call. To figure out who that is, come tune in Thursday for our review of Mystery Wrestling 19. Then on Saturday, 9 a.m., I will be here cheerfully early in the morning to review Defy Wrestling's Wraith event, which is going to see some incredible matches. We are getting a triple threat of tag team goodness. We are also getting some Death Riders and Defy, as Marina Shafir defends her Defy Women's Championship against one of my other personal favorites, Su Yung. And then we are getting John Moxley taking on the Sky High Samurai himself and Royce Isaac. Oh, it's going to be a fun show. I can't wait to review it. And then later that evening at 7 p.m. Pacific, Adolfo and I will be doing a live watch along for MLW Symphony of Horror show. This is the final show leading into the next big MLW event in the end of November, which is, Dia de los. So it is going to be great. We are getting some really fun people appearing at that show, and building up to that, we are getting Killer Cross and Scarlett. Priscilla Kelly's going to be there. Shotzi. It's going to be really fun. And then we're going to wrap up the week on Sunday with our WWE review of Raw and Smack, as we are gearing up for Saturday night's main event. So it's a lot of shifting parts in that company right now, given injuries and stuff like that. So stay tuned for all that information. But that's going to be it for us here at All Elite Insight. I hope you tune in for the rest of the reviews this week, but we got to get up on out of here. So thank you so much for tuning into our review of AEW Wrestledream. We will be back next Tuesday for our regular Dynamite and Collision programming as well. I mean, we got Full Gear coming up, but the next big thing for us, Benny, is Blood and Guts, which is coming to us in 3 weeks. Oh, I cannot wait to see what kind of carnage and chaos we get. But from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you watching at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will catch you tomorrow for our NXT and CMLL reviews. But until then, adios. And until next time, peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.